when they're on the bridge and the bridge collapse and the cable falls and he's flying on the cable. Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty funny, actually.
It is. It's great. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Here we are again. It's October 25th. It's a 25th episode of our 31 Days of Halloween, and we have a very special movie. Nothing but special movies on this list for real. But this movie I hold dear to my heart. This is Van Helsing. Van Helsing came out in 2004 and was directed by Stephen Sommers. And I think that this movie is it's a really fun time. It's a very great watch, especially if you like vampires and Transylvania stuff. Like this is a really good high budget Hollywood action movie, you know what I mean? So, but I really like this movie a lot. And before I get too far into today's episode, remember to hit that like and subscribe down below, or go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam. Pick one of our 3 tiers over there. Really supports us and helps us out a lot. But Van Helsing, this movie. Did you ever watch this movie before?
This was my first time watching this.
Yeah. So this is like, it's just, I feel like this movie's really good, but it's like campy in the best ways. You know what I mean? Like it's very like, it's a Hollywood action film. And I think that it's really done well, especially with the leads Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale, and also David, what's his last name? Oh, David. That's gonna bother me. Hold on one second. David Wenham, who plays Carl. David Wenham, for those of you who are fans of Lord of the Rings, he's Faramir in Lord of the Rings, and also he's Dilios in 300. So,
oh, that's right. That's where I remember him from.
Yeah, but he plays a monk in this one. I love it because he just brings such a like
Van Helsing's helper.
His little lackey.
So, yeah, he's like, "You're coming with me to Transylvania." He goes, "I don't want to go to Transylvania." It was funny.
Yeah, no, and on top of that, I think this movie has one of my favorite, like up near the top, my favorite werewolf transformations and werewolf designs ever. Yes, it is very CGI when it does happen, but the thought of the transformation is really cool to me. And I love, especially at the end of the movie, like when we see, spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, but it came out in 2004. Okay. When Hugh Jackman turns into a werewolf, that is amazing, and I think his design as a werewolf is so beastly and awesome, and I think that is really, really cool and well done. So what did you think of this movie?
This movie was a wild ride. It's just like you said, it's an action movie. This is a VFX explosion.
Oh yeah,
like throughout the whole film from start to finish. You can tell like it's 2004. Same, like we said, most of the Hollywood was using VFX, like we talked about in our Constantine episode a couple weeks ago. It's just really good portrayal with the VFX. Honestly, it works in this movie. It kind of works really well.
Yeah.
Like to portray the vampires, the werewolves, just the whole look of that kind of universe of transformation, doing stuff like that in terms of doing, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the sidekick, Kate Beckinsale, and Hugh Jackman in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. I love Kate Beckinsale. If anyone's not familiar with her, she's like does all the I think it's all the underworld movies. Those are really cool movies.
Yeah,
if you're
they're
into
badass
those.
too.
She plays a really good character, and she's like she has a more serious approach, but a like more comedic approach at some parts in the film. It's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this movie, oh man, like I remember a lot of the time back when cable was like a major thing before streaming services. Cable was this movie would play on the FX channel like all the time, like at least once a week for like a couple of years. Like this movie was always on, and it was just kind of became a comfort movie for me. So I ended up really like growing attached to this movie in that way because it was just always on. It was always something to watch, and sometimes when cable was a thing, it is what it is. You didn't have anything else to watch. You had only your select few channels unless you paid for like super cable. You only had your select few channels, and there was only a few movie channels, if that. So I usually ended up on FX a lot.
I was about to say the good old days
Yeah.
when things just came on and you watched them.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, this is on, and then you just sit down, and then you're sucked in. So happened to me with so many movies growing up. But yeah, that's why I also hold this pretty close to my heart. Also, the Frankenstein character in this movie cracks me up and is probably one of my most quotable lines ever. Me and Pedro joke about it all the time, but I always am like, I want to live, because there's a part in the movie where Frankenstein like is falling, and he's like, they're saving him, and he's like, I want to live.
Oh, you mean when they're on the bridge
Yeah.
and the bridge collapse and the cable falls and he's flying on the cable? Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty funny, actually.
It is. It's great. I also think the vampire designs in this movie are awesome too. I wasn't the biggest fan. I think this is probably my only gripe of the movie. I wasn't the biggest fan of Dracula's vampire like monster design. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought that it looked a little like silly. The VFX for it, I guess. But other than that, I think that his brides all looked great. I think when they were in vampiric form, like I think that they all looked
When they were bats
awesome.
and flying around.
Yeah. And then I also love a lot of the mechanisms and like gear and gadgets that Van Helsing and Carl use in this, and Kate Beckinsale's character too. And it's just good. It's a good time. It's a good watch. It's fun. I think that it's not really scary. This is something that you could watch as a family movie. I feel it's not too bad. But yeah, like that's my thoughts on this movie. I give this movie a 5 out of 5 because I love this movie, but I know that it's not a 5 out of 5 movie. What would you give this movie?
This movie, I'd say I'd give it like a 4. I thought this movie had just the way they used the VFX is just really good. Throughout the whole movie, it was good. I thought the pacing in this movie was really good. Like it doesn't really slow down. Like as soon as it starts, it starts. The only like where I would dock a star is I think that I don't know, maybe the writing. That's just maybe my con because some of these characters, unless you know this universe of Van Helsing, it's kind of like not fleshed out and it just goes right into it. But that could just be a con for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a 4.
All right, cool. Well, that leads us to fun facts. Okay, here we go. Fun fact time. I will do my best at reading these properly. Okay. Stephen Sombers deliberately chose to avoid the style of transformations from other werewolf films, where the character would usually grow hair as part of the change. Instead of the decision was made to have the character rip his skin off of himself to reveal the werewolf form underneath, going with the idea that the beast comes from within. So
yeah. I mean, it's not like American Werewolf in London, which we covered last year, and we kind of briefly talked about the werewolf transformation. We mentioned this movie in there, and it's a little different.
Well, that movie, that werewolf transformation is like one of the best of all time. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
In practical effects, like alone, it stands above all the rest. But
yeah,
like,
and Rick Baker won a Academy Award for it, so he's just was awesome.
It's an awesome transformation. In this movie, like I said, it's very VFX heavy, the transformation. So it's just like, it's cool to see the way that his bones are shifting, and I really like the idea of ripping the skin off. I think that's super awesome.
I thought it was a unique way of portraying that, honestly, with him when he gets bitten by the brother, by her brother, Kate Beckinsale's character.
Yeah.
She, her brother has the same idea when he transforms, the skin starts to rip and stuff. So
the place where Van Helsing and Anna fight Dracula's three brides is the same place where Frankenstein 1931, Dracula in 1931, and The Wolfman in 1941 were filmed.
Very, very cool.
During filming, Hugh Jackman accidentally broke an extra's hand.
An extras, like an extra on the set? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
In an interview, Kate Beckinsale has said she hated the corset she had to wear for most of this shooting. When the film finally wrapped, she wanted to burn it all.
I mean, it could be really tight on her the whole time if she's in costume most of the shoots.
I bet. Let's see. The film was intended to start a series of Van Helsing adventure movies. However, the reviews were bad, and box office returns were far below expectations. All plans for a sequel were dropped within several days of the film's opening. That's sad and unfortunate, because I feel like if this movie were to come out today, it would have been like a success. Like, I just feel like now a lot of people have just a different approach on movies, and I think this would probably have been much more appreciated. There was an animated film that was in the same universe as this movie that was released also, and it's cool. And I believe there was a game too released from this movie.
Yeah, the Amazing Adventures of Van Helsing. I think it's like it's, I don't know if it's a, yeah, I think it's a ARPG. I'm not sure, like Diablo.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the North American DVD sales were 65 million in the first week, more than half the revenue that it got from theaters. Dr. Frankenstein's lab was equipped with antique medical equipment purchased on eBay.
That's cool.
The second to last scene of X2, X-Men United in 2003, was filmed while Hugh Jackman had a day off from this movie.
That's funny.
Busy actors.
Well, at that period of time, he was actually really busy.
This is the first movie other than the Lord of the Rings film to use the massive software program developed for the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
That's cool.
And let's do one more. When Van Helsing, Carl and Anna find Dracula's castle, Carl looks at what seems to be the skeletons impaled on spikes. This is a reference to Vlad the Impaler, whom Bram Stoker's Dracula is based off of.
That's really cool.
All right. Cool. That's going to be it for today's fun facts for this movie. And yeah, Van Helsing, go check it out, and we will catch you on tomorrow's episode.
See you guys tomorrow.